parameters extend my abilities even further because they allow me to put values in. Now, getting values out, so far what we've done is we've just talked about the do something kinds of functions. But a lot of times we want to return something as well. So in that black box analogy, remember what happens in the function stays in the function, just like Vegas. Parameters go in and return values come out. Those two things, parameters and return values, allow us to not worry about the inner function of the function. So a use of return values might be something like this. Okay, this function is called do addition. It takes two arguments. Int number 1 and int number 2 are the parameter names. And you can see here that inside the function, what happens is I create a variable, and to that variable, I assign the sum of int number 1 and int number 2. So I add those together, put them in that box, and then underneath that, I have a line that says return int answer. What that means is you're going to send that back. Once you're done doing the math, you're going to send that value back to Python. And for the user or for the programmer to use that return value, I have to either catch it in a variable, keep it in a container, right? Or I have to use it. I could put it in a print statement right away. So in this case, I'm catching it in a variable, and then I'm printing it. Now, if I didn't want to use this later in my program, I could just print it out right away, but then it prints it and it's gone. If I want to keep it for later use, I put it in a variable. So let's play around with this function. So I define it. I'll call it do addition, int number 1 and int number 2. Okay, and inside that variable, I'm going to say int answer is equal to int number 1 plus int number 2. Now, I could, inside this function, just print out the answer. But then it just always prints it out, and then the answer goes away. It doesn't give me the means of using this and then keeping the result. So I'm going to say return int answer, just like that. Now, one thing to remember about return is that this should be the last line of code inside your function. It is the equivalent of using break in a loop, in that nothing after this is going to be executed. So don't put anything after return. Once you return, that's it. So if I want to, I can stack do addition inside the print statement like this, and then when I run that, it just prints the number 5, right? Because I'm adding those two together. But if I want to keep that for later, do addition 2 and 3. And then I can print that result.